Hi guys, it's Sam here with Bargain Hunting Blonde, and today I'm bringing you a comparison video between my vintage classic flap in the lambskin and the Chanel tweed reissue in the small size. So as you guys can see, in general, the look of these bags is pretty similar. They are both a light pink color and they both have gold hardware. So let's go into just some quick details about both of these bags. So first, let's start with the Chanel medium vintage classic flap. And as I did state in my bag revealing this video, I am sending this bag off to leather surgeons. I'm just filming this before it goes. So if you see any wear on the leather, that is all going to be fixed by the amazing magicians at Leather Surgeons. But just details. This bag is a vintage lambskin. It does have the plated gold hardware. And like all true classic flaps, it is a double flap style. And it does have the, close this, back Mona Lisa pocket on it, which is where you can see most of the wear. And it does have the leather threaded throughout the chain. Then you have the tweed reissue, which is a pink tweed, but as you guys can kind of see a little bit, there is a darker and lighter pink in this tweed. It is more of an antiqued gold hardware. It is not plated. It does have, in true classic flap fashion, the double flap as well. It does have, which is a little different, this beautiful chain, which I've seen called the Mademoiselle chain, but I'm not sure if that's correct. There is no leather threaded throughout. And just like the classic medium, it does have a back Mona Lisa pocket. So I have my phone and I wanted to tell you guys the different measurements. So let me reach for that real quick as I drop it. Again, trying to be more eco-friendly and use my phone, and it's really, really annoying, guys. I'm gonna have to go back to paper. So the measurements on this guy are 7.8 inches long, 6 inches tall, and 2.3 inches in depth. The measurements on the beautiful medium classic flap is 9.75 inches. Its height is 6.5 inches, and its depth is 2.5 inches. So the biggest difference with these two is going to be your bottom length. And it's interesting because this one is tweed, it seems a little puffier, but you can see the length difference. It's kind of hard to see, but right there is a couple inches. This one just again seems bigger because there is a lot of puff from the tweed versus the lambskin, which is much smoother and just seems smaller. Like when I'm holding this one seems to be wider, even though it's actually not, than the medium, just because of the fabric and how the different structures are of the two. I will say that I was pleasantly surprised by how much fits in the small and the medium. It's very, very comparable, even though there does seem to be a big difference in the actual length of the bag. I was expecting the medium to fit a lot more than the small just based on reading the measurements, but that's actually really not true. And I think that has something to do with the classic flap style. It really just limits how much you're going to get in either of these bags. And when I'm holding them, you can see that there is a size difference. And so you'd expect to get a lot more in one bag than the other. The only real difference I notice with the medium is that it is easier for me to get a pair of sunglasses on top of everything I've put in the bag and still close the bag. Versus the reissue, that is a little more snug. And I think that's mainly a height difference and not a length difference. I do think what is very telling about these bags, and I think this is really where it comes into play of how much they fit, is that the depth of both of them, like the medium on this side, does actually look thinner, but it is not. This will expand to 2.5, while this will only expand to 2.3. But that's not a very big difference, and I think that's really why you cannot fit as much in these bags as you would expect. So I think that is really interesting. The second interesting thing that I have noticed between these two bags being just one size apart, the small and the medium, is this medium classic flap does not really fit as a crossbody on me. It does, it's just very high. It's very much a style. A lot of people wear it that way, but it's not really meant to be a crossbody. While this small reissue fits on me crossbody amazingly. It is much longer And that's just crazy to me. And I think that's just the difference with Chanel and their chain length side, or strap lengths is between the two sizes. And I've noticed they do that. It's like with the 19, where the small can be worn really easily crossbody on people, but the medium large cannot. And it doesn't really make sense to me, because I feel like with a bigger bag, you almost want to wear crossbody, because then you can distribute the weight more evenly on yourself than if you don't. So definitely just something to consider with these bags is there is definitely a strap drop length difference between the small reissue and the medium classic flap. I don't know if you would have that length difference if this was a medium reissue or if this was a small classic flap. It might just be the two different style bags. While they're both classic flaps, they are different. And I just want to highlight real quick some of those differences. They are very, very minimal. So first thing is, in the classic flap, you do have that traditional CC twist lock, turn lock. This is in plated gold hardware, but that is due to the age of the bag. If you were to buy a brand new medium flap, it will not be gold plated. This bag, on the other hand, has more of the traditional Chanel lock that Coco Chanel actually used. It is another turn lock, twist lock, whichever one you want to call it, but it does not have the CCs. It does say Chanel there at the bottom, but it does not have the CCs, and I know a lot of people like the CCs, so that's a big difference between the classic and the reissue. The other big difference that you can notice right away is the two different chains. So the reissue chain is this, what I think is called the Mademoiselle chain. Again, no leather, beautiful, very intricate. You would expect it not to be that comfortable on the shoulder since it is all chain, but I find it to be very comfortable. And then you have the more classic Chanel chain, which you've got the leather woven throughout. I think there are pluses and minuses to these little differences between the two bags. I personally do like the CCs. I also find it easier to close the bag with the CC turn lock versus the reissue turn lock, but I think that's really just personal preference on, do you like the CCs or do you like this more subtle lock? They both work very similar. I do think that, interestingly enough, the classic flap leather through the chain is much more known to be Chanel than this beautiful all metal chain. So I think it really depends. If you really want someone to know that you're carrying like a Chanel bag, this is definitely going to show you like, this is Chanel. It's got the CC turn lock, it's got the leather through the chain. This is much more subtle, and if you're a little bit more of a bag freak like myself, you will know it is Chanel, but not everyone else will. If I had to decide between sizes, so this is a hard one. And I think what the big thing for me is, I don't know if the small chain on the classic flap would be the same length as the small chain on the reissue. I really like the length of this chain, which is why I like the reissue, but I do like the slight, very slight capacity difference with me being able to fit sunglasses in this one, because that really is a big thing for me. I almost always have sunglasses. I have very blue eyes, and I'm just very light sensitive. So I definitely have a tendency to wear sunglasses, even probably when I shouldn't. Like, I wear them all year round. So that is a little easier, but if we're being a typical honest Sam, I would say to my husband, babe, these are very different, you see. I'd point out that this one is tweed, this one is the size small, this is a reissue, and I'd point out the lock and chain difference besides the tweed difference. And then I would point out again the lock and chain difference, and then this is lambskin, and this is a bigger size. So then I would say, I need both. So it'd be very hard for me to choose between the two. I do think that a good mixing point for these bags would likely be the reissue in a lambskin leather, because I do think it is a little more versatile with its crossbody length. But if you are short or you don't mind the higher crossbody length, I mean, you can't go wrong with the medium classic flap. You really, really can't. But like, look, so beautiful. Need both, right? That's how I feel. But thank you for tuning into this quick comparison between the small reissue and the medium classic flap. Let me know down below which one you would choose. If you choose both, if you choose like a variation, like maybe the medium flap but in a tweed, in a different color, let me know down below. If you like this sort of video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell down below so you get notified every time I upload a new video, which is twice a week. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, guys, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys!